Hi, I'm Anita Paxton, Vice President of Talent Management at Axxess, and I'm extremely excited to present talent strategies, hiring for cultural fit and retention. Axxess offers a complete suite of easy-to-use software solutions that empower home health, home care, and hospice providers to grow their business while making lives better. And our collaborative culture focuses on innovation and excellence, and we're recognized nationally as best place to work. Let's start with Simon Sinek and how he shares with us, starting with why. There are three components to this. What is every single company and organization on the planet? They know what they do. No matter how big, no matter how small, no matter what the industry, everyone can usually describe their products and services, what their company sells, and even their role in that organization. That brings us to how. And some companies know how they do what they do. It doesn't matter whether you're selling something unique, you have a unique value proposition. Hows are often given to explain something that makes it better or different. And then that brings us to why. Very few companies can clearly articulate why they do what they do. Your why is your purpose, it's your cause and your belief. So, why does your company exist? Why do you get out of bed every morning, and why should anyone care what's happening in your organization? So that's our target. Know your why. Why do you do what you do? As we move, we're looking at some projected numbers, a graph that's been provided here that talks about some trends within our industry. This graph is going to give us projections out through 2024. And the roles that are going to be impacted are registered nurses, personal care aides, nursing assistants, home health aides, and licensed practical nurses. 1.5 million jobs, 1.5 were projected to be added to these roles that's going to impact the care and home industry. The question that I have for you today is, how will your organization benefit from these explosion in growth? Will you be ready? I'm here to help you. Creating a winning strategy is part of the work you can do to ensure your organization's success. In 2020, so between July and August of 2020, Axxess conducted a survey with Home Healthcare News. We wanted to learn how organizations are driving growth during these times of uncertainty. And this is what we found, that the survey found that staffing remains to be their top challenge. It's an increasing area of investment in 2021. So I want to draw your attention to this, the investment in staffing and understanding that. Let's look at some turnover cost. This was actually provided by the 2020 National Healthcare Retention and RN Staffing Report. Recruitment and retention of talent is extremely critical. And this is just basically due to the replacement cost of our industry talent. So the American Nurses Association identifies that nursing cost is a recurring problem for our healthcare organizations. Turnover cost. They've been estimated to range between 0.75 to 2 times the salary of that person that's leaving, the departing individual. So for nurses specifically, the turnover cost is estimated to be 1.3 times the salary of the departing nurse. There's one study that also identifies nursing costs as advertising and recruitment, and then vacancy cost. And the question may be, what is vacancy cost? That's paying for the agency nurses, turning away new business, not meeting the requirements, and just of those contractual agreements. That's all factored in. But we're also looking at the hiring, the orientation and training that your organization is putting into bringing on new talent, and the decreased productivity, termination, or just poor work environment and culture. Which brings us to attributes of game-changing organizations. You can see this quote from Harvard Business Review. It says that They're purpose-driven, performance-oriented, and principle-led. My question is, what if your organization applied some of your most important attributes to the processes you use for recruiting, hiring, and retaining talent? Think about that. That brings us to a talent strategy development. The components within this is organizational culture, having a mission and a vision. What are your values? And what is your organization's purpose? These are all critical building blocks to your talent strategy. You need these elements to successfully build this talent strategy. So my question is, does your organization have a talent strategy today? When was the last time you evaluated your approach just to adding new talent and then measuring the success of those new hires in the organization? Those new hires are going to help to support your organizational growth. Let's take this approach. As I speak with organizations across the country, it's becoming increasingly clear that organizations need to know how to build this talent strategy. They need help. That's why I'm so excited today to walk you through a template approach to establishing winning talent, a winning talent strategy. I'll make it really easy for you. It's going to be simple. It's going to be the 3 E's is what we'll call it. Evaluate, engage, and execute. You're going to evaluate your current culture. You're going to engage through those engagement surveys to identify your core values. And you're going to research other cultures, and then you're going to execute. Let's start with evaluate. You're going to assess your culture. You're going to review your company's goals and strategy, not just for the year, but throughout. And then determine what culture you need to experience growth. And then decide if you should adjust your core values. So there's some questions to consider when you do this. You have to know, what does your business stand for? What attributes are needed to drive employee engagement? And how do your patients, clients, and your vendor partners see you? Not how do you see yourself, but how do they see you? When you're looking at identifying examples of cultures, you don't have to start all over from scratch. You don't have to feel the pressure to build your own talent strategy, starting all over from square one. Find those organizations that have a culture that you respect and learn how they take their approach to recruiting talent. You know, I can think of just a couple of organizations that come top of mind to me, and one is Bayada, the other one, the Heart of Hospice. But there are other countless organizations across the country that have ways of effectively engaging with their employees. You want to know, and you want to start with leading with why. You want feedback on how they respect, trust, and how change is managed within the organizations. And then you want to just evaluate. You want to do that frequently just to learn. Engagement. When we look at the numbers, we look at how are engaged, when people are engaged within our organization, what impact does that have on customer, whether it's customer loyalty, productivity, and turnover, but what is the true cost? That's the bottom line. What's the true cost of disengagement? And you can see here the numbers. So $3,400 for every $10,000 in salary is the cost. Disengaged employees cost U.S. employers $350 billion annually. That's mind-blowing. So these researchers just take pride in their companies, and they wanted to be able to extend what this engagement really does. You want people within your organization, you want them to take their focus as an individual, and you want them to put that energy towards what's best for the organization. Here at Axxess, we want people to operate as owners. Every employee is looked at as an owner of our operation and doing what's best for the company. Not what's best for only you as an individual, but what's best for the overall company. That's the type of engagement that you want. Now let's measure. We have to measure the employee engagement. So assessing is going to be really important to help you identify those opportunities for improvement. That comes through feedback. You know, it brings me back to something that I read about Facebook. And Facebook learned a lot from their surveys. They found that even when people don't participate, it still tells them something about it. So they're going to be 2.6 times more likely to leave the organization in the next 6 months. So whether a person or an employee engages with the survey and provides feedback, those that do not should also tell you something and give you something to measure. Surveys are going to be a great predictor of behavior. It's going to give employees a chance to feel heard, and that's really important, the voice. And then they're also going to be your vehicle for a change in behavior overall as an organization. You have to take action. I'm sharing with you just some engagement ideas. Be intentional about having fun. You know, we all work hard, but we need to inject some fun into what we do. We want to make sure that we're recognizing, you know, our employees. So create a recognition program. How do you give praise? Engage in really praising the great things that are done. But you want to involve your care staff in the decision making. You need that buy-in from them. You can do mentor programs, schedule one-on-ones. That's another way of being heard. And then when you're starting your meetings, start with icebreakers. Give them something to tear down those walls, to engage, so that they're engaged in the delivery of that meeting. Next, we have execute. Incorporate values into the recruiting process. You want to ask candidates about their values. Are they aligning with your organizational values? And then align the organizational values with performance and compensation. And evaluate again frequently just to ensure success. When we look at this, I think about value-based recruitment. And let me tell you, that refers to an approach that's used to attract new talent, whether it's employees or trainees. So the approach aims to ensure that companies hire the right talent that has the right skill sets and the right values. It's a recipe. It all comes together and bakes something wonderful. Have you gone through the process of aligning your organization's values with your interviewing questions? Think about that. Value-based recruitment has the ability to directly impact your bottom line. At Axxess, we use what's called our culture assessment. Don't worry, we're going to have a blank template for you that's going to be downloadable in this learning lab. But we want you to incorporate your core values into your hiring practices. So you make it easy for those that are interviewing just to assess based upon that cultural fit and on the values of your organization. These are just some characteristics, some core values. These are the recipe for success that we have learned exist in those that are successful within Axxess. I hope you've learned something today from this on building your talent strategy. And I look forward to you having very engaged employees, helping make lives better, and most of all, a successful year. Thank you for joining me today.